Restaurant Association. The 1985 Springnationals from Columbus, Ohio. Speeds in excess of 200 miles an hour. Covering the quarter-mile distance in less than 6 seconds. Drag racing from the NHRA. It takes time to build sporting traditions, time for legends to be created, time for records to be established, only to be broken, time for the facts of the instant to be distilled into history. The NHRA Spring Nationals qualifies on all counts. 21 years of spectacular growth, from its beginning in Bristol, Tennessee in 1965, through stops in Englishtown, New Jersey, and Dallas, Texas, to its present and longtime home at National Trail Raceway near Columbus, Ohio. Hello, everybody. I'm Dave McClelland, and this is the 21st Annual Spring Nationals, an outstanding example of the tradition that has become NHRA Championship drag racing. This racetrack plays an important role in the history of the sport. In 1976, Shirley Muldowney won the Top Fuel title, the first ever by a woman driver. The next year, she won for the second time, using the Spring Nationals victory as the cornerstone for the first of 3 world championships. In 1975, Don Prudhomme won his first Spring Nationals funny car crown. That led to a march to 4 consecutive world championship titles. The Spring Nationals is a race of personalities and a race of change. Steve Evans has the story.
The first ever Top Fuel champion at the Spring Nationals back in 1965 was a fellow by the name of Maynard Rupp. Now, Maynard has since faded into obscurity, but he was a heck of a race car driver, as they all were then, because in those days, the driver sat right here, just behind and between the rear tires. Now, he was constantly fighting for control because the tires were only this wide and smoked literally from the starting line to the finish line. Now, he had some other problems to contend with as well, because his feet were literally on the bell housing of the engine, which meant that guys like Maynard were constantly trying to look around the supercharger to see, that is, if they didn't have oil all over their goggles. Now, the most drastic comparison I can make is that on Maynard's car back in 1965, the front wheels would have been right here. A 150-inch difference in the wheelbase of his car and this machine of Big Daddy Don Garlits. Now, there's been some other upstarts like Maynard win the Spring Nationals, but really, this is a race that seems to like repeat champions. Shirley Muldowney has won it 4 times, Gary Beck 3 times, and Don Garlits 3 times, even though he hasn't been here for 5 years. And this is the car I think most of the fans will be watching, because Big Daddy won the Southern Nationals, the Cajun Nationals. A win here would be the hat trick and the lead for the World Championship.
Thank you, Steve, and there's lots of fans on hand to watch. A huge crowd here at the Spring Nationals. $737,000 in posted prize money. Joe Amato holds low qualifying time at 5.58 seconds and top speed of the meet so far at 258 miles an hour. This is Joe Amato getting set to do his burnout. Joe Amato from Old Ford, Pennsylvania will be matching up against Gary Ormsby. This is a rematch of a race you saw earlier this year on Diamond P Sports coverage of the NHRA Winter Nationals. An overflow crowd watching the 2 cars back up after the burnout. This crowd formed a line some 5 miles long just trying to get into the parking lots this morning. But they're jammed into the grandstands and along the fences for the second round race in Top Fuel Eliminator as Gary Ormsby, a Toyota dealer from Roseville, California, going against the current points leader in the World Championship points chase, Joe Amato from Pennsylvania. Amato with the #1 qualifying time of 5.58 seconds. That time was set several days ago. Gary Ormsby, though, in the first round of competition today, defeated Jack Ostrander with an outstanding 5.66 second elapsed time. That was a few hundredths of a second quicker than Joe Amato with a 5.72 when he defeated Connie Coletta. The lane choice, based on the lower elapsed time, going to Gary Ormsby, and now Ormsby's got to be considered the favorite in this matchup. Both drivers now concentrating on their starting line procedure, for it's on the starting line where many a race is won or lost. The advantage appears to be to Amato. And a close race at the finish line. The crew for Ormsby looks on, trying to determine who won the race. It's Joe Amato, 5.75 seconds. 251 miles an hour. The elation of the moment showing on the faces of the crew for Joe Amato. As we watch again, you see the all-important start by Amato. He has got the advantage over Gary Ormsby right at the starting line. But Ormsby has got some horsepower. He stays with Amato in the middle of the course, and as they approach the timing traps and finish line, it's anybody's race. There's the times. 5.75 seconds for Amato, a 5.69 for Gary Ormsby. Ormsby late off the starting line. Let's go to Steve.
Well, Joe Amato arrives down here, and the first words out of his mouth, did I win? So it must have been one close drag race. And indeed, Joe, as you're getting your helmet off, you won. And this time, it wasn't Tim Richards' horsepower. It was your good driving, a 700th hole shot.
Well, Timmy told me on the starting line I might need a light because he knew it was going to be real close. And, you know, I had to step up. And we've got a lot of fans here from TRW and Hearst because the main factory is close. And we didn't want to disappoint them. I'm really glad to make this one for TRW because makes the people from home feel good.
And you know that Ormsby wanted you badly.
Well, this is a real critical race, Steve, because Garlits has a tough run now. If we can get knocked out, that's 2 more 100 points. We're ahead of them. And boys, you know, we want to win the race. We also like to be the world champion again. That's nice.
Excellent driving.
Thank you very much.
A brilliant driving job by Joe Amato. The race a matter of inches at the finish line. The 1985 Spring Nationals is being brought to you by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And by Goodyear. Goodyear tires and Goodyear service for more good years in your car. And by Hawaiian Punch. Nothing tastes like Hawaiian Punch. You only have to taste it once. Go Hawaiian. And here are 3 drag racing fans that are waiting for their favorite driver to compete in the second round of Top Fuel, Big Daddy Don Garlits. Way near Columbus, Ohio. This is the 21st annual Budweiser Spring Nationals, and we're in the second round of competition in Top Fuel Eliminator. The number 2 qualifier, Dick LaHaye, winner of the recent Gator Nationals Championship, is meeting one of the rising new stars of Top Fuel racing, young Darrell Gwynn. The LaHaye racing operation out of Lansing, Michigan, is really a father-daughter combination. Dick LaHaye is the driver. His daughter, Kim, is the crew chief. It's a father-son combination for Darrell. His father, Jerry, a former great driver, now turning the wrenches on this Top Fuel dragster. Earlier, Steve gave us an example of the width of the tires of old. These are the tires of today, some 18 inches across, no tread, soft rubber compounds. They propel these cars to a quarter-mile racing surface in times under 6 seconds. For Darrell Gwynn, his combination put him in the number 6 qualifying spot with his quickest time ever at 5.62 seconds. But this is a sport of ups and downs. Dick LaHaye won the Gainesville Gator Nationals, but at Baton Rouge in the Cajun Nationals, he was unable to qualify.
Well, Dick, you had to outdrive him at Gainesville. You might just outrun him here.
Well, you know, we came in here with a new combination because we was a little disappointed on our Baton Rouge performance. And yesterday, or Friday, I guess it was, when I run that 59 to qualify, that was the quickest run that I've ever run. And the motor looked nice, and everything was fine. We're really just trying to sneak up on it, but we're really having a lot of problems with the clutch right now. We had a new clutch in the first round, and we had to replace part of it, and we can't really get a combination together where we can tune on it. We keep changing it every run.
Let's hope he makes the right changes this time, because Darrell Gwynn, while he may be new to Top Fuel competition, is certainly not new to drag racing. He has won many national event titles at the wheel of a top alcohol dragster, but Darrell Gwynn was late. A beautiful driving job by Dick LaHaye, and outstanding elapsed time as his daughter Kim heads for the truck, ready to go pick up Dad and head back to the pits and get ready for the semifinals. 5.66 seconds at over 253 miles an hour. Dick LaHaye defeating Darrell Gwynn. The defending Top Fuel champion, Gary Beck, racing against Gene Snow. The engine coming to life in Snow's car from Fort Worth, Texas. The name Gene Snow goes back a long ways in this sport of drag racing. He was one of the innovators when funny car competition got started. He dropped out of the sport for a while, then came back with a Top Fuel dragster and has been racing in this category ever since. During the years that Snow dropped out of drag racing, he founded an oil company. It has been successful, and that's what's allowed his return to this very expensive sport. For Gary Beck, his first win at the Spring Nationals came way back in 1974. He won again in 81 and is the defending champion, driving Larry Minor's team car from Hemet, California. Meantime, after a brilliant driving job and an outstanding win, Dick LaHaye checking over his engine before he goes back to the pits to start all of the maintenance work necessary to get this car ready for the semifinal round. On the starting line, the load is shifted onto the driver. All of the burnouts are completed. The work by the mechanics and crew chief is over. It is now up to the driver to corral this 2,500 horsepower monster in a straight line down a quarter-mile racing surface and get there ahead of the competition. The two cars into the staging beam. A good start for Snow. Smoking the tires just a little bit. Gary Beck pulls ahead. And to the finish line, Beck there first. 5.60 seconds, 247 miles an hour. That's the quickest time of eliminations thus far for Gary Beck as he earns his right to move into the semifinals. Here's Big Daddy Don Garlits, a crowd favorite wherever he goes. At the age of 53, Don Garlits is as motivated to make it into the winner's circle as he was when he started in this sport some 30 years ago in a Top Fuel dragster. As Garlits does his burnout, he's got to be thinking about that 5.60 second elapsed time by Beck, the quickest of eliminations.
Well, there's nobody stronger right now than this man, Gary Beck. Low elapsed time of the round, 5.60.
You know, great, Steve. Looks like we're getting a little bit of it back each time. It's great. The guys are working real hard. Bernie and Phil Walter, they're just hitting it. So maybe we can sneak a win in this year after all.
Well, a quick time sometimes is tempered by an oily motor. This one is totally dry, sealed up. Couldn't look better.
Motor looks real good. We've been, you know, we've had trouble with it all year, but it looks real good to us right now.
Guess what? You get a shot at Joe Amato next round.
Yeah, we need that.
Beck chasing after that world champion points leader Joe Amato, as is Don Garlits, who's currently number 2 in the world champion points chase. But Bill Mullins has been a spoiler. It was at Gainesville, Florida, and the Gator Nationals that Garlits and Mullins met once before. At that race, Mullins came out on top early on in the competition. But at the Cajun Nationals, the crafty veteran Don Garlits from Ocala, Florida, proved it to be just a little bit different. In a rematch of that Gator Nationals race, the final round saw Don Garlits in the near lane against Bill Mullins. The Baton Rouge, Louisiana crowd thrilled to watch Garlits pull ahead at the finish line and take the victory over Bill Mullins. Now the rubber match of 1985, but this time Don Garlits is a decided underdog. He's been having engine problems. He exploded one in qualifying. He's been having lots of difficulties with his supercharger. And the raw horsepower of Bill Mullins appears to pay off. And over the finish line by a several car length victory goes Bill Mullins at the wheel of car owner John Kerry, Top Fuel dragster. Mullins moves into the semifinals. His time an outstanding 5.69 seconds, 252 mile-an-hour charge. For Don Garlits, considerably slower at a 5.95. A very slight starting line advantage went to Don Garlits, but almost instantaneously, the horsepower advantage of Bill Mullins began to show.
Off comes the sock for Bill Mullins. He says, it looks like we hurt it, but you indeed hurt Big Daddy worse than you did this engine. You kind of owed him one, though.
Yeah, we did. We never get caught up with him. He's always tough. We're lucky to win it.
In what way?
Well, anytime you're running him, I figure, you know, you are at a disadvantage.
No, you've had a problem going the distance mechanically, though.
Right. We just have the brakes at the wrong time. We can never have a lucky break. We're running good enough to win it, but we have throttle cables break and stuff like that at the wrong time.
See you in the semi.
Thank you. Hope so.
Mullins into the semifinals to race against Dick LaHaye for Don Garlits, a long tow to Florida.
Don, I know you went to the starting line with the blower stepped, hoping that would help the performance. Apparently it's not.
Didn't do a thing for it. It's not making any power.
So internally, would the problems be?
I guess. I don't know. If that was something I knew, I could tell you, I'd fix it. I would have been fixed. I don't know what's wrong with it. I got to take it all apart and build a fuel motor.
I know you hope that Joe Amato wouldn't get a win light in this run so you could stay real close to him points-wise. Now he's gonna pull out a bit.
He's going to get away from me a little bit.
Yeah, this Platzel race is left.
Yeah, you bet.
Garlits and Amato, oh so close in that season-long World Championship points chase. In the pit area of Joe Amato, it's normal maintenance time on an exotic top-fuel dragster as the work goes on, getting ready for the semifinal race with Gary Beck. Beck having lane choice by virtue of the lowest elapsed time thus far in eliminations. We'll be coming back to the Spring Nationals. Steve McClelland along with Steve Evans, and in Gary Beck's pit area, it's work time. The crew performing the maintenance on this top fuel car as they get ready for the semifinal race against Joe Amato, with Gary Beck having lane choice. The other pairing finds Dick LaHaye against Bill Mullins, with LaHaye having the all-important choice of lanes. While the work goes on in top fuel, it's funny car time on the starting line as Kenny Bernstein rolls through the water, getting ready for his burnout. Bernstein in the second round of competition will be racing against Dale Poldy. The partnership of Mike Hamby and Dale Poldy debuting a new car in NHRA competition. This the new Buick Somerset Regal body sitting atop that 2,500 horsepower engine. From Granada Hills comes Dale Poldy, and he proved his value as a driver in the first round of competition when he was racing against Tim Gross. In the near lane is Poldy just off the starting line. He smoked the tires. Everybody thought, well, that's the end of it. No, he recovered and went on to win over Tim Gross with a fine 5.86 second, 251-mile-an-hour charge. But this is the man that everyone is talking about, Kenny Bernstein from Dallas, Texas. In the last 3 national events, Kenny Bernstein has won 2 and been in the finals. His most recent final round appearance was at the Cajun Nationals, where he was defeated, upset by Jim Head. Kenny Bernstein, along with his crew chief Dale Armstrong, has put this car on the cutting edge of technology.
We've talked about computers on board these drag racing cars before, but they were really a novelty item more than anything else. They were big, they were heavy, and the vibration of the cars seemed to give you more gibberish out of the computer than hard data. But no more. This is a twin to the computer that now rides on board Kenny Bernstein's record-holding funny car. It weighs about 2 pounds, developed by crew chief Dale Armstrong. Now, this will monitor 20 times a second down the racetrack, as many as 8 different functions. Now, what they really want to know is engine RPM all the way down that racetrack and the drive shaft speed. That tells them the clutch slippage. They also monitor the flow of the fuel and even Kenny's throttle foot, okay? If Kenny said, well, I shut it off early, Dale can tell by the readout they get after they plug this into a printer in the trailer if indeed that happened. Now, they're going to market these very soon for all types of race cars. Around $2,000 is the figure that I've heard. Now, for a crew chief in NASCAR like Junior Johnson or Waddell Wilson, this would be a real boon, but I'm not sure the drivers would care for it much because there'd be no lying your way out of anything with a monitor on your throttle foot.
Steve, when the drivers run out of excuses, things could be difficult, but for Kenny Bernstein, he's not needed any this season. No excuses either for Dale Poldy. We saw his brilliant driving job in round 1. Can he pull it off in round 2? No, he cannot. Kenny Bernstein with a tremendous margin at the finish line astonishes him again. 5.74 seconds at 249 miles an hour. Absolutely the picture of consistency. Here's John Prudhomme. He's been to the winner's circle at the Spring Nationals 3 times in his long and illustrious career. Prudhomme is racing against Ed McCulloch, driver for Larry Miner. This is the funny car of Team Miner's operation. Prudhomme from Granada Hills, California, holds the distinction of winning the World Championship title 4 consecutive years. Ed McCulloch, now living in Hemet, California, and driving for Larry Miner, won this event, but it was way back in 1972. The Miner racing team operation has to be seen to be believed. There are 2 top-fuel dragsters, one driven by Miner, the other driven by Gary Beck. Then this Oldsmobile-bodied funny car driven by Ed McCulloch. Quite an operation in championship drag racing. McCulloch in the near lane, Prudhomme in the far lane, and Prudhomme appears to be pulling ahead at this point. As they near the finish line, Prudhomme by about a car length at 5.79 seconds. His speed over 251 miles an hour sends McCulloch back to Hemet, California. Here's John Collins. Collins, an upset winner over Rick Johnson in round number 1 as he used a hole shot off the starting line to put away the quicker qualifying Johnson. Here it is Collins against Tom McEwen. John, a former Californian, now called Claremore, Oklahoma, home base for his funny car operation. For Tom McEwen, Fountain Valley is his home, and with over 20 years of experience in this straight-line quarter-mile sport, Tom McEwen has got the reputation as being one of the premier drivers. He's probably best known for his former business partnership with the man that won the previous round, Don Prudhomme.
Well, Don Prudhomme continues to get ever closer to the performance of Kenny Bernstein, a 579.
I know I had to step up a little bit against the ace. You know, he's plenty tough, and this thing's starting to come around. Who knows?
Maybe there's a little more room to go.
Well, we think so. You know, it's kind of stumbling leaving the start line, so we'll see. Maybe we can pick the pace up a little bit more.
Lane choice, you think an advantage, Don?
I like the right, you know, and I think it is right now, yes.
Okay, Don Prudhomme, he's got his confidence back for sure.
He's been struggling throughout this season, but he's got it back at this event. That right-hand lane that he refers to, the far lane from our Diamond P Sports camera, occupied now by Tom McEwen. John Collins in the near lane used that hole shot in round number 1 to defeat Rick Johnson. Can he parlay a second advantage off the starting line to a victory here? And once again, it is Collins out first. McEwen starts to smoke the tires, drifts out of the track just a little bit, and right at the finish line, John Collins with his second consecutive upset, a 5.98 second elapsed time, speed only 240 miles an hour, losing the escape hatch off the top of the body. As we watch in replay, you see Collins building his advantage right at the starting line. But McEwen does not give up. He hangs with it as the car drifts out towards the edge of the track, and at the finish line, by a matter of a few feet, John Collins defeats a quicker Tom McEwen. The time indicating Collins gaining his advantage at the starting line, and it pays off at the finish.
Well, John Collins apparently turned on the air conditioning going through the light as the escape hatch blew right out of the top of the car. Collins, as long as it was open, decided to crawl out that way. John, good driving. Another hole shot puts you in the semis.
We've been lucky today, haven't we, Steve?
Good driving, too.
Thank you. It's about time I do my job. These guys have been doing a pretty good job all year, so if I can help them out, it makes me feel good.
Well, a 598 will not make them smile.
Now, the performance was off, but I think we know why the performance is off. We've kind of been toying around with it a little bit, and it ought to run better next time.
What are you going to do?
Fuel system, way off.
I won't even ask. That's the secret in these cars, the fuel system. He's not about to tell me or anybody else.
As the crew heads back with John Collins to the pit area, they have got not only the normal maintenance, but they have got to repair that roof hatch. Our final pair of cars in the second round of competition, back at the starting line, in the near lane is John Force. In the far lane from Waco, Texas, is Billy Meyer. Billy, embarking on a brand new venture in the sport of drag racing, has just broken ground on a new racing plant being constructed near Dallas, Texas. John Force has had the misfortune of not winning an NHRA National Championship event. Everyone wonders why. It is sometimes just a matter of luck. His performance is right up there with the best of the racers on any given day, but it has just not been John Force's day yet to make it to the winner's circle. Both cars inching gently into the staging beams, the lights at the top of the Christmas tree indicating both drivers are ready. It's a green light start, and the tires on John Force's car losing traction. You can see the smoke coming off the back of the car, and it gives the win to Billy Meyer. 5.81 seconds at 242 miles an hour moves Meyer into the semifinals against the upset-minded John Collins. Our other match finds the class of the field thus far. Kenny Bernstein with lane choice against Don Prudhomme. Way near Columbus, Ohio, the crew for Billy Meyer hard at work buttoning up that nitro-burning racing engine after the between rounds maintenance. These engines come completely apart, the parts, the pieces checked, including even the tires. There's lots of work going on throughout the entire pit area, including under the tent of Don Prudhomme.
If you're going to have a look at the pit action of Don Prudhomme, you better be willing to fight the crowds because they are all around this 40-footer as Don mixes the fuel, just about ready to push it up into the staging lanes where he's going to meet Kenny Bernstein. That lack of lane choice, does it concern you at all, Snake?
Yeah, I'm quite concerned about it. A little more concerned about the starting line right now. We're going to take one thing at a time and try to get off to a nice smooth start. And what happens in the middle happens in the middle. It seems to be a little loose, but I think we can get through it.
Really have to keep an eye on the atmospheric condition today. The air just goes back and forth.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, as you well know. You know, these things are subject to pick up and or slow down depending on what the air is doing. It's hard to tune it, but I think we're okay.
Okay, well, good job today.
Thanks.
As the work continues in the funny car pit area, the attention of this overflow crowd is directed to the starting line as we're set for the semifinals in Pro Stock Eliminator. These are the factory hot rods, the Pontiacs and the Oldsmobiles in this matchup. Warren Johnson in the far lane, Butch Leal in the near lane. For Butch Leal, a former Californian known as the California Flash, now lives in Blacklick, Ohio. One of the greatest races of his career came in round number 2 when he raced against Bob Glidden's Ford Thunderbird. Glidden, the low qualifier, was defeated by a tremendous hole shot by Butch Leal. At the finish line, it was a matter of carlings as Butch Leal drives his Pontiac Trans Am to a win at 7.73 seconds.
Got a shot at the second race in 1 year.
Well, you know, that's what we're here for, and I'd like to win. I got one in a row, so I need another Oscar.
Talking about the Trophy NHRA Awards, the Eliminator winners, Butch Leal. What a driver.
Racing against Leal is Warren Johnson from Duluth, Georgia. Based on qualifying times, Johnson has got the advantage. He moved in 2 spots higher than did Leal in this 16-car field. These cars with 500 cubic inch engines with 2 4-barrel carburetors running on gasoline are exotic race cars. And no better example is this Pontiac of Butch Leal, the recent winner of the Southern Nationals in Atlanta, Georgia. It's hard to see from the grandstand, but there's some new changes inside.
Back in the late 1960s, when the Pro Stock class was first conceived, the cars were traveling under 140 miles an hour. But even then, NHRA required that they carry a full chrome moly steel roll cage throughout the automobile, much like you find in today's NASCAR Grand National cars. But this weekend, the speeds were approaching 190 miles an hour. And a few of the drivers, especially Butch Leal, whose Trans Am I've borrowed here, are saying, wait a minute, we want the kind of protection that the Top Fuel and funny cars enjoy. So Butch went to race car builder Don Ness, and here is the result. Now, the old cage is still required in the car, and you see it here. Butch had him add this hoop, all these adjoining bars. And I can tell you, just sitting in the car myself, it feels much more secure. Imagine none of this was here, and the next bar was clear over here. So it's a big step forward, and what's a few pounds when it comes to your body, as Butch told me. There's even some talk about NHRA raising the minimum weight of these cars from 2,350 pounds so that more drivers might be encouraged to go to this on their own as opposed to it being made mandatory. I like it, Butch.
Steve, these are highly refined race cars. Butch Leal's Pontiac, the Oldsmobile Calais of Warren Johnson. Can Leal pull another hole shot? No, he does not. They're off the mark together. And as they approach the finish line, the Oldsmobile, with obviously more power at this race, takes home the win and moves into the finals. 7.66 second elapsed time, 180 miles an hour the speed. At the starting line, the Ford Thunderbird, Frank Iaconio from Totowa, New Jersey. Frank was one of the strongest proponents of Chevrolet power until this season when he made the big switch and is now at the wheel of a Ford Thunderbird. Chevrolet, synonymous with Rare and Morrison out of Arlington, Texas. Their driver, Bruce Allen, taking over the wheel following the untimely death of Lee Shepard earlier this season. In the far lane, driving the Camaro, is Bruce Allen, Iaconio and his Ford in the near lane. All eyes concentrating on these two cars on the starting line. The classic battle between makes Ford versus Chevrolet, and it appears Iaconio with the advantage. But the power of the Chevrolet seems to be pulling ahead at this point. At the finish line, it's very close. Bruce Allen into his first final round appearance in Pro Stock Eliminator, 7.68 seconds. His speed, 176 miles an hour. The pairings for the final. Warren Johnson against Bruce Allen by 0.02 of a second. Johnson having lane choice. Back in the pit from John Collins. It is repair time to the roof hatch. Get out the tape and hold it down.
My personal favorite is cheat.
Steve, no matter what it is that Bernie Federle has done, he's done it right because his driver, Gary Beck, has got low elapsed time of elimination. Looking at the gauges in the cockpit of Gary Beck's car, telling him the status of his engine as he approaches the starting line. Joe Amato in the near lane, Gary Beck in the far lane. The semifinals of Top Fuel, the winner to move into the final round. Joe Amato needs this win to expand his points lead, and Gary Beck stopping. A great race off the starting line. At the finish, Gary Beck finding horsepower that he had been missing throughout the year. The win, 5.72 seconds. His speed is slowing to Joe Amato. It's got to be a disappointment to get to this point and then out of competition. Here's the upset winner in the previous round. This is Bill Mullins. He defeated Don Garlits. Mullins will be in the near lane racing against Dick LaHaye. The winner of this race will earn the right to match against Gary Beck in the final. Beck, in winning his semifinal round, fell off just a bit in performance.
So Gary Beck goes into the final round of the Spring Nationals. This is hard work.
Yeah, it is. It's fun, though. It's fun to get a few rounds going, but we got the Miller American car back, I think. We're happy.
Especially beating Amato. I know you like him, but that's a guy you're going to have to beat for the World Championship. He picked your pocket last year.
He is. They're tough. You know, Joe is extremely hard, and, you know, the top fuel, we don't have a lot of them, but we got 6 real good ones out there, and it's fun to be back and beat a few of them.
For Gary Beck, his first final round appearance since 1984, the month of July, when he won the NHRA Grand Nationals. Dick LaHaye, the winner of the Gator Nationals earlier this season. His competitor, Bill Mullins, was the runner-up to Don Garlits just 1 race ago at the NHRA Cajun Nationals. Mullins likes to attribute his victories to luck, but he's also got the performance. For Dick LaHaye, he recorded the quickest elapsed time of his career in qualifying at 5.59 seconds. He would love to duplicate that here. Bill Mullins, a tremendous advantage off the starting line. A little tire smoke and close race, and it's a finish by a matter of inches. Bill Mullins, a disappointed Kim LaHaye, but look at the exultation on the crew of Bill Mullins. 5.71 second elapsed time at 258 miles an hour gives Mullins the win and the lane choice in the finals. As we watch again, you see Mullins' car move first. The light is green, indicating a good start. He's got the advantage over Dick LaHaye. A little tire smoke, just spinning those tires ever so slightly. The car tries to drift out of the track, but Mullins brings it back under control, and at the finish, look how close. There you see it, 5.71 seconds for Mullins, 5.66 seconds for Dick LaHaye. The advantage all came at the starting line.
Well, Bill Mullins, you just can't do much more in a day. You outran Don Garlits, and now you outdrove Dick LaHaye. You ran a little slower, but you won.
Too. Dick LaHaye and Kim are my favorite drag racers out here.
A lot of people in the stands that feel the same way. You got lane choice by 1/100th.
Oh, gosh, we're lucky. Maybe our luck's changing, Steve. Hope so.
Lane choice, some people think, is pretty important here as it cools off.
Both lanes seem pretty good. You know, they're fairly equal. But then you could get an oil down, you know, that's the big difference.
As we talked earlier, mechanical problems have plagued you when you get this far, but so far so good.
We've been hurting things, you know, been pushing some bearings out and stuff like that, but we're lucky right now to be where we are against this kind of competition.
We'll let you get a head start back to the pits. I did indeed know that. So it'll be Gary Beck and this man in the final of Top Fuel.
Bill Mullins has known success in other categories of competition, but has yet to win his first Top Fuel Eliminator title. This is the race that this huge overflow crowd has been waiting on. Kenny Bernstein against Don Prudhomme. Bernstein has qualified in the #1 spot. He has been very consistent in the low 570s. For Don Prudhomme, he has regained some of the performance that he seemed to have lost over the last few months. Bernstein, as might be expected with his professional operation, has attracted a legion of fans, and one very special one.
Every professional team needs a mascot, and Kenny Bernstein is no exception. This is Lamont Price. They call him Doobie around here. And Doobie, how did you get this kind of job as the mascot? Good luck charm.
We met in Columbus, and I had to wait and watch something, and he gave me a sticker, and we met in Cincinnati when he won up there.
You were just a spectator out there and met Kenny Bernstein?
Yes.
All right, now how many races have you been to now?
Maybe 9 or 10. I don't know.
Well, how do you get to the races?
Me and my grandfather drives a camper. Gets it full up, drives all the way up here by me and him. That's the only one.
Well, have you got any duties around here besides just kind of hanging around for good luck?
Well, sometimes I gotta sign autographs. Sometimes I gotta
You sign autographs?
Yes. Sometimes I put the pictures on the table, or go over there and get something to drink for them, or help the lady over there do stuff, all that.
You want to be a drag racer someday?
Yes, yes.
I don't have to ask you who your hero is, do I?
Nope.
Steve, it's awful tough to lose when you got fans like Doobie watching intently. Crew Chief Dale Armstrong directing his driver Kenny Bernstein into the proper track on that starting line. Bob Brandt, the crew chief for Don Prudhomme, has done the same. The 2,500 horsepower engine just idling, awaiting the full throttle when they leave the line. And Prudhomme with the advantage, he moves towards the guardrail. It's Kenny Bernstein across the finish line first, and Prudhomme with the whole shot was off the starting line first, but another 570 elapsed time. This one 574 at 248 miles an hour for Kenny Bernstein, continuing his dominance of this funny car competition. Prudhomme did a beautiful driving job avoiding what could have been a serious confrontation with the guardrail. Billy Meyer has got to be thinking somewhat of his competition. Upset-minded John Collins for 2 races in a row. John Collins has used a whole shot to win to get to the semifinals. Now he wants a win to earn the right to meet Bernstein.
So for the 4th time out of just 5 races, Kenny Bernstein, you go to the final. But that looked to be a tough race from the beginning anyway.
It was. I did one of those things I haven't done in a while. I hit the throttle and thought I red light up. You know, went bop, and I got after it, and I just said, oh no, but the car performed. Otherwise, we'd been in trouble. I was surprised I didn't red light.
Those are the kind of things that just stop your heart for a second.
Oh, it just stops you cold, Steve. It really did. I went, oh, don't do it here now.
Tremendous consistency, a 574.
Again, it's my crew and my crew chief, Dale Armstrong, and I keep saying that, but they are. They're great.
All right, let's go back to the starting line and see who Kenny's opponent is going to be in the funny car final.
Steve, you got to know, somewhere in that van is Kenny's #1 fan, Young Doobie. Back at the starting line, it's Billy Meyer driving the Ford Mustang-bodied car. He's in the far lane of this racetrack as John Collins approaches the starting line thinking, can I pull off another upset? Collins waiting patiently as Meyer inches forward. Now comes Collins, and the green light's on for both cars, and Collins and Meyer off the line together, but this time it is Meyer at the finish ahead of John Collins, and Meyer moves into the finals with a 5.82 second elapsed time. His speed, 241 miles an hour. The lane choice will be going to Kenny Bernstein with his string of 570s as he matches up against Billy Meyer. Meantime, back in the pit area, it appears as though Bill Mullins' luck may have changed, this time for the worse. The crew in the process of changing superchargers. This completely changes the combination on these 2,500 horsepower racing engines. A tough break for Bill Mullins. Ohio, it's time for the finals in our professional categories of competition. Bruce Allen driving the Chevrolet Camaro of Rare and Morrison against Warren Johnson's Oldsmobile. In the Pro Stock final, both cars capable of speeds over 180 miles an hour. Both drivers taking their time about staging. This may be a little bit of a psychological war going on between Warren Johnson and Bruce Allen. Allen, the first time ever in the final, a great start for both drivers. Bruce Allen begins to move out of the lane and has to back out of it, and Warren Johnson wins the Pro Stock Championship. His wife showing the elation of the moment at 7.68 miles an hour. Another 180-mile-an-hour charge. Back in the pits, the luck has really turned bad for Bill Mullins. After getting the engine and supercharger back together, they found a cracked cylinder head. The engine now coming completely apart, changing the cylinder head and repairing the broken parts. Now the question remains, can they get the car back together in time for the finals? The pressure really mounting for Bill Mullins and his entire crew. The pressure's off Warren Johnson. For the 3rd time this season, he is in the winner's circle in Pro Stock Eliminator. But you got to know the pressure is mounting on Billy Meyer. He's watched his opponent, Kenny Bernstein, just dominate funny car racing throughout this entire event. We've taken a look at Bernstein's new computer, but Billy Meyer has got some tricks of his own.
I'm in the video-equipped lounge in the front of Billy Meyer's trailer, and he is studying the video that his crew shot in the semifinals. And Billy, is this really a useful tool for you?
It's an extremely useful tool to us, Steve, because we have 3 or 4 crewmen on the starting line, and everybody sees something different, and this way there's really no guessing to it. I can come back and I feel something in the car, and I can come back, and it helps me be a little bit better driver because I can learn exactly what it did each run, and I don't have to kind of second guess the thing. And we've been using it for a couple of years, and a couple teams are starting to catch on to it, and it's been real valuable to us.
Has it told you anything to help you catch Kenny Bernstein in the final?
Well, it keeps reminding me I'm a tenth behind every time it shows the win light.
Steve, I'm sure Billy is hoping that the wind light comes on in his lane this run. Based on what he's been watching on that video screen, Billy has made a rather dramatic change in his car. He's put a lower gear ratio in the rear end, hopefully giving him some advantage off the start. We're going to find out in just a moment if it pays off. Meyer in the near lane, Bernstein in the far lane. And smoking the tires is Billy Meyer. Kenny Bernstein just wavering a little bit from the straight path down that racetrack. And the crew just jumping for joy as Kenny Bernstein wins his third NHRA championship event in 1985. Billy Meyer, it's got to have been a disappointment. He tried very hard. He made the change that may have caused the tire smoking and loss of traction. You see right here, he wasn't even to the Christmas tree before the tires started losing traction, giving Kenny Bernstein the Spring Nationals crown.
You may enjoy this advantage for quite a while because the funny car crew chiefs I've talked to don't even know where to start to imitate you.
Well, I don't know about that. Armstrong's really got a handle on it, but don't forget, what goes up comes down. But right now, we're going to have a Budweiser.
And don't they deserve it? Here comes the crew for Kenny Bernstein. They've won it. 3 races this year.
Bernstein's big win today gives him a huge lead in the season-long World Championship points chase. Back in the pit, it is still nervous time for this crew, though. Bill Mullins working now on the supercharger, trying to get the motor back together for the finals of Top Fuel. Car winner Kenny Bernstein do be getting his congratulatory hug as Bernstein wins his third funny car title of the season. On the starting line, it is the finals for Top Fuel. Gary Beck will be in the near lane, and look who made it. The engine back together and sounding very strong. Bill Mullins driving John Kerry's car. At the age of 50, Mullins has had a remarkable career. He won the Spring Nationals title back in 1971, driving a top gas dragster. He is currently dividing his driving chores between the Top Fuel car of John Kerry and his own top alcohol dragster. For Beck, he concentrates on one thing, and that is winning for the boss, Larry Minor. Winning is a consistent thing for Beck. He has 18 national event titles to his credit. Bill Mullins has yet to win his first Top Fuel title. He was runner-up 1 race ago at the Cajun Nationals, now again in the finals, this time against Beck. Beck has had a trouble-plagued early part of the season, but he has absolutely dominated competition in Top Fuel here at the Spring Nationals. His competitor, Bill Mullins, has got a big question mark behind him, and that's his engine. A lot of work went on between rounds. Will it pay off? He seems to have the lead at this point, and he holds it by a car length. Bill Mullins wins his first title. The crew overjoyed with the victory. The elapsed time for Mullins showing all that work was worth it. 5.62 seconds. His speed over 257 miles an hour as Bill Mullins pulls off the upset and wins Top Fuel Eliminator. As we watch again, it's an even start for both drivers. But then Bill Mullins begins to inch his way ahead so that by the time they reach the finish line, Mullins records his upset.
Tell me about the race itself against Beck. John and Shirley Carey, the owners of the car, and all their crew, a lot of them volunteered. Tell me about the race if you can.
I don't know if I left on him, but it was, you know, I don't know. It was close halfway down. It was close. And we were just hoping the thing would hang together because Gary is a true champion, you know. We're lucky to beat him.
You are a true champion, too, my friend. Congratulations again. Bill Mullins.
Thank you a lot, here.
What an exciting conclusion to a tremendous day of drag racing, this 21st annual Spring Nationals. Our congratulations to all of the champions. For Steve Evans, I'm Dave McClellan saying so long from National Trail Raceway near Columbus, Ohio. The 1985 Spring Nationals has been brought to you by Ford. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Goodyear. Goodyear tires and Goodyear service for more good years in your car. And by Motorcraft, quality products for all makes of cars and trucks. Motorcraft exceeds the need. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by Style Auto World Championship Team, the nation's premier source of fast lane fashions, the champion's choice for the style of your life. And by Suzuki, choice of 10-time national champion Terry Vance. See the complete line of world-class performance bikes at your Suzuki dealer today. Suzuki works like a single moving part. And by Persona Blade, Top Guy Personified. Get a smooth shave that's not tough on your wallet. Get personified.